like that. It is going to be all tax consulting. And on top of that, the type of tax consulting is going to be, majority going to be tax advisory, tax, consulting in terms of I'd say a contingent basis. It's not going to be mostly roles with time and materials based type tax work. Even though some of these roles here that we have, with Roughlick are going to be, time and materials. So we don't just do tax returns; we also do kind of advisory work as well, and certainly just get access to XYZ clients' information and just try to see how much we can save for them in taxes. But with these roles that we have open here currently with Roughlick, they're going to be a bit more concerned with. It's kind of like the typical, I guess, how a lot of consulting firms perform tax services is going to be, through tax returns, billing hourly, sort of a deal. So, but Ryan in general is global, and it's going to be, about 2,100 people globally, about 1,700 domestically, and pockets of offices that we have, whether it's in the UK or India, Australia, parts of Europe, Canada. Certainly we all have presence there. So this is a very, very, tax-centric, very, very large collection of tax brain surgeons, if you want to kind of put it that way.
Understand. Thank you. So basically, we're looking for anyone with experience in corporate taxes and or advisory position within the tax spectrum, right?
Yeah, certainly in a sense. This is going to be very much, we're all tax consulting. So certainly there is going to be a difference between someone who is a corporate tax guy versus someone who wants to be more of a consulting professional services type position. So we are looking for people that aren't looking for banking hours.
Mm-hmm. Understand. And who would you say are some of your direct competitors?
Direct competitors are certainly going to be probably there's companies around the size of called Duff and Phelps. Certainly the BDOs, the McGladrys. A lot of times they say the Big Four, but the Big Four is a much, much larger, type company and resource-wise and whatnot. So I'd say we only compete within the tax departments within the Big Four. So I wouldn't generalize, that we compete against the Big Four, but maybe just with their tax departments. And then certainly just, pretty much any of the standard, just I think the ones that I listed now, kind of be the big ones, but the firms that have, tax consulting services that, that certainly dabble in, financial consulting or auditing or law or advisory services as well, are going to be our general competitors.
Understand. And what industries do you service? What are some of your clients that you're servicing look like?
You name it, we service it. I don't think we take we do pretty much everything enterprise level. There is no individual type taxes or wealth management that we do. It's all going to be corporate enterprise level, tax work. And also, there's government entities that we mess with and advise for as well. So, but it's going to be a very, very eclectic amount of industries, businesses that we service for. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of clients and all different types of clients that we service.
Understand. Well, Austin, let's dive into the senior consultant income tax compliance role. And if you can give us an idea of why is this position open and what have some of the candidates that you've seen or interviewed for this position been missing? in terms of their skills and experience?
Sure. So this is certainly the main one. This is what I'm looking for. Just like that, just like they say with any kind of difficult role sometimes to find, you can find the entry-level person, you can find the manager all day long, but when it comes to the senior person, sometimes it gets a little difficult. And this is kind of the case with this one. And I would say it's open, just with your question, Edward, is a reason of pure growth. The team is going from 3 people to about 7 or 8 people. And that's just due to the hustle of the director of the position that's out there doing business development things and signing more clients, and the company is growing in general. And so his proposal put together a good handful of consultant level people and admin, senior consultants, and a couple of managers too. So and what remains is certainly some senior consultant level folks. And and generally what who they're looking for, who would be successful / meet the profile for this role is going to be someone that has some professional services experience and has maybe been in the consulting world or has had some sort of experience in the professional services realm that has very much done federal, state, and local preparation of corporate tax returns, enterprise level, Fortune 100, Fortune 500, Fortune 1000 level complex tax returns. There unfortunately is not much room for people that have done tax returns maybe for wealth management or have done tax returns for some types of individuals, or maybe done smaller candy shop, donut shop, corporate or smaller corporate tax returns. These are going to be C Corp, S Corp, Form 1120 and Form 1065. They can do them backwards and forwards with their eyes closed, and they're going to be using the system Go systems. And at the same time, if they have some experience with OneSource, that's a huge plus. But the emphasis a lot of times is going to be certainly on the federal side of things, being able to do the federal returns as well. You'll find a lot of state and local people, but if they can also do those complex federal returns as well, that's what they're looking for to complement their team in terms of what they have now with bandwidth and horsepower of the folks doing it.
Understand. Do we have a minimum of 2 to 4 years of tax professional experience, or is there a preferred range that you would like candidates to be in to be considered a senior consultant?
Well, I mean, that really is 2 to 4 years. If I see someone who is coming from the BDO or coming from the Big Four, or some type of larger tax consulting firm that has been doing enterprise level tax returns for 2 years, solid 2 years have been doing this, I think that's a great profile. And particularly if they're maybe a consultant or an associate level position with it and they want to move to that senior level, we can provide that for them, and more than likely that might be a bit of a pay increase. So that type of transition, that type of profile, if they've been doing it for at least 2 years of solidly doing this tax prep work, that will definitely be considered. And then 3 to 4 years on top of that, even better.
Understand. So from what you've said, I recall the fact that we're looking for candidates with experience servicing Fortune 1000 level companies, performing complex tax returns, C Corp, S Corp, Forms 1120 and 1065, with some experience using Go systems and OneSource would be a plus, right?
Yes.
And complex federal returns experience would be required to complement the current team that you have. Now, I see that we have 2 different locations, Pittsburgh and Cleveland. Is there a preference towards either one, or?
Yep. I mean, definitely the preference and the team. The main team is going to be in Pittsburgh, downtown Pittsburgh. And, the Cleveland option certainly is there. I mean, the director resides in Cleveland. He travels a lot, so it's one of those things where he really doesn't have too much of a home base. But, some of the managers and the core team are all in Pittsburgh right now. But if we do find, someone, whether, they're a manager level, experienced level, and, present themselves as trustworthy and can reside in our Cleveland office or area, they will certainly look at that and consider that for Cleveland. But I think it's I would probably put the emphasis on maybe the 2-year person would be okay in Pittsburgh, but maybe not in Cleveland. But if they were maybe the 4-year person, they would be probably more a better fit in Cleveland because they can have that experience and they can be a little bit more, of a lone wolf, I suppose.
Understand. Now, give me an idea of their responsibilities throughout the day. Are they client-facing? Do they need to travel? Or the position is mainly based out of the office?
Well, I mean, as what the director kind of articulated to me, I mean, certainly at this senior level or the consultant level on the team, they need to be busting out returns. So it's really, that's going to be the focus. That's going to be the emphasis. Travel won't be very much at all. I would say, if anything, less than 10%. They need to be focused on completing and performing and prepping, amending those tax returns. Is going to be the main function of this senior role. So there will be certainly client calls, telephone, whatever, WebExes, or whatever they need to do to communicate that way. Travel, I would say, very, very minimal.
Understand. And what salary range should we target for candidates, let's say, coming from BDO or McGladrey?
Sure. With the with the senior consultant level, we can be certainly within a minimum of 60,000 and a maximum of right around 90. But there's certainly things to keep in mind. If we bring someone in that's maybe closer to the higher part of the range, it's just they've got to realize that the only way that they're going to be getting to the next compensation bracket is they're going to have to be a manager. Who knows how long that's going to take? So when they're redlined, sometimes it's a little bit of a difficulty. But if they're in that 80s to mid 80s, type compensation range, then we might have some room for them to grow a bit, with their kind of yearly review, and then giving them a kind of a bump every now and then. Also, there's a bonus involved where you have, at the senior level, you certainly have, a 5% bonus on top of what your, what your base is, just based off of, general performance and, kind of team customer service reviews. But you can add, kind of a small 5% bonus on top of that base.
Understand. And what would be the value proposition to attract someone from your direct competitors to come work for Ryan? What would you say are some of the differentiators between Ryan and a McGladrey or a BDO, and what are some of the selling points in terms of growth, in terms of career growth opportunities, and so forth?
Sure. So this is a growing service line, like I said, kind of previously, and so that's always something that can be, a bit more exciting. You're on a little bit more of a ground floor on something and team that's growing and making a difference. This team is very much on the spotlight. I mean, they're doing great things, and they're very thorough and regimented tax team, and they've been called out, by senior leadership a lot. Kind of in general, just by client service-wise and just by the performance that they're doing so far. Even with a limited team, they haven't even been fully staffed yet. So there's lots of good things happening with that team, and certainly that Pittsburgh area is growing a bit. and the team is growing. So growth aspect, really good. The second thing is certainly going to be, the flexibility within this team. We have an environment called the My Ryan environment that, essentially there's no, when you're an exempt employee, which this position is and all these positions are, you're going to have an element of where you have no PTO and there's going to be no sick leave. It's all infinite. And so what that does is it leaves each one of these teams sort of in an entrepreneurial mindset to where they can run their team however they want. And if there's any vacation time needed or things that you need to take care of a sick dog, employees just have the flexibility to just be proactive and manage their client service load and what their responsibilities are, and take care of what they need to. Versus having to go off a bank of hours with benefits or HR, making sure you're compliant or logging in things. No, the company took that away, several years ago, so you could focus solely on client service needs and duties, and you can, be an adult and you can take off the time that you need. But at the same time, also, work remotely if needed, if that's what the team that you're on, allows or manages. They have that flexibility. So there is that element on this team, for this Pittsburgh team. You're going to certainly be able to, I guess work remotely a couple of days a week, or maybe one day a week. It just kind of depends, but that flexibility is there. That you can work from home and do this job and work remotely because maybe you'll be a bit more productive. Hey, if you want to go into the office every day, that's perfectly fine. If you feel you're more productive that way, that's great. If you feel that you're in Wexford, Pennsylvania, or some of those surrounding areas of the city, and maybe it's tough to get to the commute because it's snowing or there's just bad traffic in general on your general commute, the team will listen to you on this and say, yeah, you're more productive, working from home on Mondays and Tuesdays or something, or whatever you can work out, just to get the most out of your job and the client service in general. So the flexibility aspect is certainly appealing and something that they they consider for this team. Third is certainly there's good prospects of growth within the company in general. So we do have a kind of a new profit sharing program within the company, to where we are trying to meet revenue goals for the company. We just completed that this last year, and we've all got a slice and made a contribution and met that kind of $100 million mark that we're looking for. And there is a new goal now, and everyone's a part of it. Even myself, overhead and whatnot are a part of it. Whether you can get stock or cash out. I mean, there's a lot of options, but the Ryan Shares program is certainly in full force this year, and you can certainly be a part of the company growth and see additional profit as well. And this team will contribute directly to that revenue and part of that goal. So real good incentive, real good motivator for this year for sure. Those are kind of the three main things. And plus, exciting, great work and great management, and Ryan's the best.
Great. Thanks, Austin. I really appreciate the comprehensive insight into some of the benefits of moving on to the Ryan side. Is there anything else that you would like to add to the senior consultant position? I had one question in regards to the number of slots. How many people are you looking to hire for this role?
Sure. For the senior consultant, so far we've got 2 left, and I would probably say that we've been trying to staff this role for a while, and we've touched and hit and interviewed a lot of different people, particularly within the senior consultant role and the manager role as well. But there's going to be an element of maybe some crossover. I mean, I've my efforts and people that I've brought in have certainly you might run into people that have already talked with us, already submitted their resume in that Pittsburgh area, just because there's only so many people kind of doing this particular type of work and know this type of work. And maybe I think our shortcomings at first, were that I think our compensation was a little bit too low. And I think the realization of what the candidates' expectations should have been and what the teams were looking for may have been a little bit too picky. So the first 6 months of trying to tackle everyone, I think maybe we should have maybe have hired a couple of people already by now, but I think they've kind of, realized that, this is you can't have, Tom Brady, every single time with your candidates. So it's, I think there's that realization, and so I think sometimes so it's just kind of just an FYI with if you do run into someone maybe that we've previously spoken with, it's perfectly fine. It's not surprising, but at the same time, there are plenty of people left out there, I believe, and I think we just have to capture the people that are maybe the consultant level, associate level, and bouncing up to that senior. I want to get to that senior level and that manager level as well. And so, but if the Cleveland market still hasn't been touched too much. But the only problem in caveat with the Cleveland market is we just got to find someone that they certainly can be trustworthy and fit in over there and be okay. Kind of being alone in the office and they can trust kind of remotely. But they're open to that, I suppose.
Understand. Can you give us a little background on the reporting structure for the senior consultant? Who do they report to, and what kind of background, personality does that manager have?
Sure. So it's, they're going to report to, there's a manager now that's there, and I'm hoping we can secure a senior manager coming in here the next couple of weeks. So it's kind of a dual manager system. I would say that there is a lot of client interaction, a lot of client needs and white glove approach that need to happen within the manager level more than what is happening now. Instead of maybe there's one kind of acting manager now that's a little bit more boots on the ground and a little bit more fighting with the soldiers versus kind of doing manager type work and client service type work. So we definitely need, any other manager we bring in is going to be able to communicate more with the clients, maybe even traveling a bit more, to see the clients. And so I think it'll be a dual process of someone coming in here as a senior consultant to, they'll report to, to the manager, maybe not the senior manager, but at the same time, they'll be both the manager and the senior manager will be overseeing quality of work. And so, giving advice or maybe even diving in, if, during the busy time and season when these filing deadlines pop in. So it's going to be an element of that and very collaborative. And so just like anything where, with these returns, when you have a consulting tax prep work, tax return prep work, it's always going to be about doing the work and doing the return and then overseeing, and then someone's going to oversee the quality of work before it goes to the client for them to review it. So it'll be it's a pretty standard model, nothing too wacky, that if someone coming in here was doing this previously on another team, they're not going to go, whoa, like this is the weirdest thing. It's going to be pretty much the same type of model, but just probably maybe a different company and culture environment.
Understand. Perfect. Now, going to the tax manager role, do we also have the option for this person to be in Cleveland or only looking for Pittsburgh?
Yeah, Pittsburgh preferred, but Cleveland is an option. And I would actually see a manager probably fitting in better in Cleveland than a senior consultant, just due to the fact that they're going to have certainly more years of experience, and they're going to be more in that role of overseeing quality of work and messing with clients a bit more. And so that could warrant a bit easier, job kind of being in their office or being in that remote location, more than kind of the day in and day out work and the collaboration that kind of happens within that Pittsburgh group. So that's one of the factors that I certainly kind of see and have been kind of told about.
Understand. And what salary range can we look at for the tax manager?
Tax manager is going to be could be in sort of anywhere in the 80s all the way to maybe the mid 20s. maybe 125 or so as the max, as the red line. And you can certainly add on a 10% bonus on top of the base, meeting all individual goals and client service kind of survey results. So that's been increased here recently, but I'd say there is also opportunities and bonuses, which I should have specified earlier that if we really do need to have some type of signing bonus, if we do need to add some type of bridge bonus, to these offer letters, that certainly can be entertained and will be looked at. And so we do sign on bonuses and bridges occasionally if it warrants that.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you for sharing that. How flexible are we on the base salary? Let's say we present someone who's currently at 120 or 125 and they would like a little bump. Would you be able to entertain that?
Yes, and certainly depends on probably their skill set. Just like I said about the senior manager we're bringing in, hopefully bringing in here, soon. They presented themselves as having a lot of experience, and so we bumped it to a senior manager position. And so we had to get some special permission from that, but that was something that they said, yeah, that's perfectly fine with what this individual can have. So it really is very circumstantial. It really depends on where that person is in their career, what they're wanting to do. And so if there's a situation where they're redlined as a manager, that's what they were currently at, it might at 125, let's say, there's certainly something to where we might be able to do a signing bonus, or they might be fine just being redlined at that type and stay at that particular position. And to me, just experience-wise, it just seems like it's just going to be very, very going to depend on their circumstance and what they're wanting to do. And sometimes we're just out of luck if if they don't meet the senior level type qualifications, but they want to have 140 as a manager, and but the team doesn't deem that they're maybe promotable anytime soon, or maybe immediately in terms of just what this offer is going to entertain. That sometimes we just can't. You have to just agree to disagree. But it's very circumstantial. But at this point, where these positions, like I said, are time and materials, we bill hourly. Time is money for this team, and so right now we're getting to a point where we should be looking at and talking with everyone if they're qualified. So no matter what their compensation is, and we'll see what we can certainly do.
Understand. Perfect. Thank you so much, Austin, for sharing this information. And for everyone on the phone, if there's any other questions related to the senior tax consultant or the tax manager, we are going to continue to take more questions, but I think we can move on to the next role, the tax software sales in Chicago or Detroit, right?
Yes. This one is. This one is pretty simple. This is. It is a software sales role, but certainly Ryan Tax Software is going to be a competitor directly with the Vertex people, with the Taxware, with the Thomson Reuters type tax software. There's only a handful of people producing and making and a part of that have tax software. Ryan has Ryan Software competes directly with these companies, and we are certainly growing, and we're looking for salespeople to do their sales thing. The difference is going to be there's really no account manager type duties where you're going to be building or generating clients in a sense, and really trying to have certain meetings or have ownership of the clients. It's a bit more about working warm leads and getting this software installed and in front of existing clients. Since we have so many people that are in all different types of industries and sizes that are, whether they're in property tax or transaction tax, or just one of our 30 or 40 different tax practices, we want to add some Ryan tax software to what they're currently using now. And if they're using the Vertex or some type of other tax software, we want them to, certainly take that away, and upload ours, if that's even possible. So there's going to be an element of more of collaborating with the business, with the current ownership of the current owners of these accounts, and certainly wanting to engage them further to add Ryan software to keep them compliant and to keep them more on par to to prevent their tax discrepancies from slipping through so much. And so this is going to be very compliance-based software. It's going to be very indirect tax software-based. So there's kind of a thing where tier 1 level person here is going to be somebody who has experience with some type of tax software, or very much in the ballpark of knowing what have sold tax software, has been able to can articulate what tax software they've been selling and been meeting quotas, and has been a performer. The second tier is certainly going to be people that have software experience that is financial or accounting based, and have been a performer selling that type of software. Third level would certainly be someone that just knows about technology and has been selling technology kind of in general, and knows about that particular type of space and can articulate technology type products. So it's going to be a profile of somebody that is going to work in their probably their pajamas at home, and also be going to various parts of the country to do some trainings and team collaboration type things, probably once a quarter or so, whether it's going to be in Scottsdale or Atlanta. Each one of these kind of business development / kind of tax software sales guys, there's going to be 7 of them, kind of peppered around the United States and kind of locations that are in different geographic regions, whether it's in the Southwest or or the West Coast or the Midwest. They kind of like people to be next to an airport in case they need to kind of leave and do something, but most of the time they're going to be at home or working from one of our offices, either whatever they want to do, and really smiling and dialing, working those warm leads, working the CRM, and collaborating with the principals or partners or business development folks that have existing relationships with these current clients. Okay.
Understand. So it would be more of a farming rather than hunting for new logos or new clients, right? And they'll be working collaboratively with current Ryan employees who are servicing those clients to get introductions and so forth, right?
Yes, definitely a bit more farming than hunting. Everyone has written in their contract and has the availability to, if you bring in any existing clients, I mean, certainly we'll see a percentage of that. Your name goes right on that. So if you bring in a new client, absolutely that, I mean, this is a consulting firm. So I think even the interns have something written down. If you bring in a client, you get whatever XYZ percentage of that, of whatever happens. So, this is, without clients, we die. And so there's certainly always that element of if you bring in new business, that's always encouraged no matter what level of the company you're at. But mostly the goal of how your success is, how you're going to be tracked, how many touches you're making a day, how many meetings you're setting up for demos is going to be the main focus and goal of this particular position.
Understand. And how many open slots do we have? How many people are you looking to hire for this role?
Looking for one rock star.
Okay. Do you have an idea of what are some of the key differentiators with Ryan's tax software compared to Vertex or the Thomson Reuters offering?
Well, I think we're probably a bit, might be a bit smaller. and certainly going to be growing. We have a full development team and implementation team with this software. There is size-wise it's going to be kind of a bit smaller, but I think what the point is you get to be in bed more with Ryan when you do kind of get this. If you're already working with Ryan, you're working with a software that talks and collaborates a bit more with what we're kind of with what we're doing. So there is certainly the the aspect and growth of this team of being a bit smaller, and having this team going from about a couple of people to now fully kind of 7 people selling this stuff and having very aggressive growth is what the selling point is going to be a bit more with this type of software and with this offering. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be a little bit smaller player, but at the same time, the appealing part of it is you're going to be a part of something that's you're helping growing and expanding. This particular tax practice, and Ryan Software is it's not just a small entity. It's also backed by the larger Ryan in general. So you are a Ryan employee. You enjoy all the benefits and the culture and everything that the Ryan umbrella provides. With the company in general. But I mean the company's really broken out into you have the kind of operations and overhead just like any other, and you have the service delivery, which is everything having to do with tax consulting and the revenue generation part of the company, and then you have Ryan Software broken up into that third section. So because it is a bit different, it is a bit segregated, but at the same time, so that's kind of cool to have their own little country that they get to operate and move and be a part of, but also you're all a part of Ryan in general.
Great. And can you give us some idea of the salary range and maybe the on-target earnings for the software sales role?
Sure. So the base salary is going to be $95,000, and the OTE, well, I guess the commission is going to be $95,000 as well. So OTE is going to be $190,000. And so that's I think for what you're doing in this role, I think is extremely generous. And so that's why they are looking for performers. If the expectation is someone coming in here that's wanting to make 200 plus 250, their title was director, they were managing people, they were some sort of vice president or manager of whatever team, that typically just doesn't work. What we want is typically people that are, or who have worked out, are just kind of people that are, not quite super junior, but they're a little bit above that junior level, but they're certainly hungry to sell and smile and bow. They've been a performer, they've met their quotas, they've met their goals in the last, a good handful of years. Maybe coming off of an inside sales type role, and maybe have been like maybe an account manager for a little bit and selling these products, know the space. Are typically people that have fit this profile, a bit better. So the super kind of heavier senior type, account people that, even if they've been selling some of this software, they just haven't meshed too well with this type of role. I think they, for whatever reason, are maybe wanting to take over the team, or they're wanting, to be, they're more used to being, traveling around 4 days a week and trying to be interactive with the C-level staff to try to, I guess, kiss babies and, try to make a deal on the golf course with a cigar. That's not this role. This is going to be a bit more team collaborative. It's going to be more on the phone, more WebEx based, more kind of generating I guess traction, I suppose, just within our internal CRM. This I can see branching out more. So as soon as we've tackled a lot of our internal clients and adding on to what what Ryan's existing clients are, we can start going maybe a bit more in that branching out to that account manager and growing the roles a bit more dynamically. But as of right now, it is kind of what it is right now.
I understand. Thank you so much. As far as the on-target earnings, you mentioned 190K. Are the commissions capped, or if someone is a really great producer, would they be able to earn more than that?
Not to my knowledge, but but just like anything, if you're filing your nails and twiddling your thumbs because you've already knocked out your earnings, earlier within the year, and you're looking for something to do, they'll find something for you to do.
I understand. And what is the average deal size and the average sales cycle, if you can give us an idea?
That was a good question that came up to me the other day. Sales cycle, I don't think it's too terribly wrong. I apologize. It's a very broad explanation of the sales cycle, but I don't specifically know that. But the general, the sales, are going to be anything from, it could be 50,000 to, maybe, up to maybe 150,000 ish. It's a very wide ranging. They have a lot of good products. If you do want to research, kind of the product lines and whatnot, certainly go to the website, and check out Ryan Software Offerings. This company used to be called Second Decimal until we acquired it, and so you can look up Second Decimal on Google, and you can also, it'll probably direct you to Ryan Software, probably will, but Second Decimal is where all these products kind of originated, and you can see everything that's offered.
Perfect. Now, is there an opportunity for someone to earn any kind of draws or bridge up front, just to bring them up?
Yes. There's a 10K draw to begin with. That's kind of broken out into about 4 months or so. So to begin with. So if you feel, you can work off that draw to begin with. And sometimes people say, no, I don't want to draw. That's perfectly fine. They're okay just with having the base. And then earning those bonuses, that commission, but there's a 10K draw that that is certainly there to begin with for the first 4 months.
Great, perfect. And this is a recoverable draw, right?
It is, yes. If that means, it's subtracted from your commissions that you obtain
Right.
to begin with.
Okay, great. Thank you. So I know you mentioned as far as location, we're somewhat flexible. We're looking for people in the greater Chicago or Detroit areas, but they will also have the opportunity to work from home, work remotely.
Yes. If if they've got a good space and feel they'll be productive, I think there's a flexibility to that. If they also need an office or a space within one of our places in Chicago. We've got 2 offices in Chicago. We've got, one that's in the Downers Grove area, and then we have downtown Chicago, and then Detroit. I think it's just downtown Detroit. So it just depends on what the candidate needs to be the most productive, really.
Understand. Perfect. Thank you. I guess we can move on to the last position we have, the Manager Scientific Research and Experimental Development in Canada. If you can give us a little background information on the role, the responsibilities, and what are we looking for in the ideal person?
Sure. And maybe it's been a bit since I tweaked it. I don't really know. I think I did emphasize it a couple of times, maybe just within the questionnaire on there. Maybe on the description, I'm sure it says it, but I think I also list some other things on top of it as well. But what I'm speaking of is we really need someone with a scientific engineering, engineering background with civil engineering. I think I've stated on there to where we're also looking for chemical engineers, IT-focused engineers. But ideally, since we're putting this out here, from maybe, the crowdsourcing aspect is maybe we can find some civil engineering, type backgrounds with people doing this shred work. And essentially what this is it's gaining, when you're doing shred work, to scientific, research, experimental development, we provide a tax kind of claim service to where, we see what you're doing, and if that warrants a claim by, in this case, instead of the IRS, and Canada it's called the CRA, if the CRA and, the government, they have a, they want people and companies to be innovative. They want them to do, R&D type work, and a lot of things that they do, a lot of companies, what they're doing might qualify for this type of tax credit. And it could be millions of dollars, just depending on the size and scale and scope of it. But these guys and this individual, they will be the ones kind of doing the full life cycle of what, to get these tax credits. And so everything from a kickoff meeting, collaborating with engineers within the, let's say, what XYZ company, and trying to gather information if they do qualify for this credit. And if they do qualify for the credit, then there's a write-up involved, and this SR&ED, senior consultant or manager, they will prepare all of that write-up and submit everything to the CRA, and try to get that tax credit for the company. So it's very much something that a company would farm out and not really have internally. They're focused on kind of building and doing their widgets, and they're going to do what they do. But at the same time, if they can grab some type of tax credit or claim for what they've been doing, we can provide that. So this individual is going to be more than likely someone with a background in engineering, civil engineering, but they've also obtained the skills somewhere along the way, hopefully, can do this type of tax credit write-up work. And, there's an element of also project management, and, you're going to be dealing with, several clients at once. And so doing the full life cycle of, of these meetings with the clients and the write-ups and the submitting of the information and knowing the background, how to talk the talk with the engineers and kind of gather the information and have the knowledge to say, yes, you do qualify, or no, you don't qualify, is certainly key. I would say that, the number one thing that we're looking for right now with the State of the Union of that team is looking for people with civil engineering backgrounds. There is a lot of chemical and mechanical and, and some IT people that we've already kind of brought on the last year or so, and but the civil engineering aspect, certainly can be something on a background that maybe someone's been doing, but might not be a real expert on this SR&ED consulting work. They may have dabbled in it. They may have collaborated with other consulting firms, and when they've been trying to gather the information, they're really wanting to do this, but they've got a solid civil engineering type background. That can be something that they definitely want to, they can consider. So if you're to look at, would you rather have SR&ED experience and no civil engineering, or civil engineering and no SR&ED experience? They're going to take the latter. They're going to take civil engineering and no SR&ED experience, instead, if that makes sense. So it's going to be something in that in that regards to just our tax service for collecting these SR&ED credits. And this individual will have a base salary, and they will also have a a commission on top of that, a commission type program that will that they receive from just the percentage of the claims that they obtain or they close out. So where it's the base salary for this is going to be standard. It's going to be $80,000 Canadian, and the commission bonus structure of of this role is very variable, just because it depends on the size of the claim. It depends on what gets approved and how much they're able to get the company. So I would say in average it nets on top of the 80 for the year. You can probably look at anything from 15,000 to 30,000. It just depends on the year, depends on the types of engagements they're working on.
Understand. Perfect. As far as the location, is there any flexibility? Can we look at candidates willing to self-relocate, or maybe is there any kind of relocation assistance?
It's they need to be in the Mississauga office, suburb of Toronto, and kind of in that Toronto area. If we relocate someone, they better have the U-Haul packed and that be on their way to Mississauga, and maybe we can help them with a little bit of a sign-on bonus or something like that to help them maybe move. But I haven't found a case or scenario yet to where we we've had someone to relocate. It just maybe it's just the area, maybe it's just the geographic region, but it doesn't seem like people are begging too much to kind of move and shift around Canada like they do kind of in the U.S. a bit.
Mm-hmm. I understand. Okay, perfect. So I think we've got a pretty good handle of what we're looking for. If anyone else has any questions about this role, please send them over to us. I guess, Austin, we are close to the end of this call. I have one last question for the tax sales position. You can give us an idea of the quota that that person will have.
The quota, in terms of, I mean, it's really more about, and I guess you can call it like achieving quota, making 100% of quota, but it's really going to be more about you're kind of chopping away at the various kind of commission plan in terms of kind of almost like reaching certain bonuses. And so there is a certain amount of sales that are an element of sales and things that you're going to have to, have your name tied to. But I'd say the next 40% are kind of things that are, at a bonus type level until where you're reaching certain types of, milestones, I suppose. And so, I mean, it's a whole plan kind of written out. And so it's kind of not as simplistic, unfortunately. It's just saying, once I sell this, that's the percentage, and I'm meeting this, and this is how much I have to sell. It's almost like there's kind of tiered levels. It's a sheet of paper, kind of a thing that they work off of, and essentially what it nets you is going to be at that kind of that 95,000 mark is going to be if you meet all kind of quotas and bonuses. If that kind of makes sense. I know it's kind of confusing, but that's just kind of it's really just kind of part of the plan. It took me long enough just to get that 95 number out of them and get that freaking approved. But it's more of like it's just the commission / kind of bonus plan associated with this role, because it is a bit different. It's not as straightforward. It's just closing the deal and having them sign, and then you just turn in the paper, and that's your kind of quota, and you're done. It's not the Glengarry Glen Ross type of structure.
I understand. Okay, makes sense. Thank you so much, Austin, for all this information, the time you spent with us today. We look forward to seeing some good candidates coming in the next couple of days. And if we have any more questions coming in after the call, we'll make sure to send them over to you and return back to our recruiters with your answers. We also appreciate everyone's time and everyone's questions, and we look forward to seeing your submissions. Austin, is there anything else that you would like to add in closing?
I don't believe so. I think I've got a headache from talking so much. I'm done for the day. But I appreciate everyone, and certainly I'll be on top of this. I mean, these roles are here for a reason. They're very key to the company, and there's certainly an urgency within these positions. So I appreciate everyone's help.
All right, thank you, Austin. Have a great day, and thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.